You are watching Momentum 2025 here at MomoCon on the here at the Georgia World Congress Center. My name is Bobby Blackwolf. We have one more game for Shantae. Shantae Half-Genie Hero is coming up. But I did want to talk about that we are raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We do have a $2.50 donation from #1 Phantom Ganon Slayer, so thank you so much for that. And if you want something to donate towards, we have a bid war coming up for the last game tonight. Monster Hunter Wilds Bingo. You can choose the weapons that Happy by 3 and Zendier are going to be using in the run tonight. So be sure to go to speedrun.gives and be able to donate and make Zendier and Happy by 3's life a little bit more interesting. But right now, we have Shantae, Half-Genie Hero, Jake the Snake. Show us how it's done.
Will do. All right. Well, I'm sure y'all are tired of me at this point, but
we're back.
We're back. My name is...
I'm not tired of you.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes me feel better. My name is JakeTheSnake233. Just call me Jake. And again, I have my amazing co-commentator, Purple Tissue Box. If you want to introduce yourself a
little bit more. Hey guys, I'm Purple. I just did a speedrun of the Game Boy Color Shantae, and awesome run.
Yeah. It was a.
I was not scared at all.
No,
a little scary.
No fear whatsoever.
So we are back in 1080p, in the land of 1080p on digital video.
The land of HD, high definition.
Right, bringing you Half-Genie Hero.
Yep. So before we get started, I'm just gonna quickly explain the category again, because if Pirate's Curse category wasn't wordy, this one's even more wordy. We've got 80% Shantae mode, no WTTD. 80% again, beat the game as fast as possible. Shantae mode, that is the normal mode of the game, and then no WTTD. That is a WTTD stands for Warp Through the Danger. Warp Through the Danger is a glitch that lets you basically warp through every single level of the game without having played it, which makes the run extremely trivial. So this is the normal 80% category without that glitch.
All right, we want to give you guys a show today, so no warping through the danger for us. We
no warping
take the
through the
danger head on.
Indeed. So we're just going to go ahead and get started right here. Time will start whenever I hit new game in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, let's hit it. This game starts off with a plot section, so you're not missing much. We will be holding right.
Yes, this is this is a walking simulator. So another thing about this game, we are running on the 1.0 version of the game, which as we get through all the differences, I'll explain them. But I'm going to explain all the differences as we get through them.
As they come up, yeah.
As I just said that. But the 1.0 version allows us to do some exclusive glitches that lets us skip quite a bit of things, as you'll see later on. And it also has some little quirks in terms of just normal game mechanics that are different from later versions of the game.
Yeah, some of the bosses they're changed slightly. I don't know if that matters so much for the speedrun as the glitches do.
No, I mean there's one boss in particular that changes a bit, but it's probably the easiest boss in the game.
Right. All right, so what's going on here? Shantae can't sleep.
No, Shantae can't sleep. She got woken up by a vision, or she got woken up by some voices in her head, and she's going to this cave to where she's going to get a vision from some genies. Of course, we can skip cutscenes. We're back in the land of skippable cutscenes.
I'm so glad you can, Jake.
So we're just going to skip that vision. And now we're back in Scuttletown. Back in Scuttletown, we're going to go talk to our Uncle Mimic right here. And I guess something I'll explain while we're just doing our errands through Scuttletown is a little glitch I'm going to be doing called the instant text skip. You're not going to see too much of it. I just did it right there. What it does is it lets me skip the text of any text box without it ever popping up. It saves about half a second. And the way you do it is by canceling the text on 1 frame after
you start the dialogue.
You start the dialogue. So it's a frame perfect trick. It doesn't save that much time. It saves half a second, right? So not that big of a deal. But there's one point in the game where it actually saves 13 seconds. And whenever we get there, I'll actually
we hope you get that one. You can miss all the other ones, but we want to see you get this one.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're running some errands. We picked up a magnet to give to Mimic. He's like the inventor / mad scientist of the Shantae world, and he's trying to invent this huge device. And
yes.
So
this device called the Dynamo. The Dynamo is supposed to be a device that protects Scuttletown from all danger. It's supposed to take care of Risky Boots for good. We shouldn't, have any more problems once that Dynamo's built.
Unfortunately, before it got finished, guess what's on fire again?
Scuttletown.
We're back in Scuttletown on fire.
Third time it's been on fire this marathon so far. So Risky's attacking Scuttletown. We're going to be jumping over these cannonballs that she's shooting out. Normally, you're supposed to break them and damage them.
Right.
But if you jump far and right just enough, you can actually get over them. And that window is a bit tighter than it looks.
Their hitbox is quite wide. Even if you're on the right side of it, it'll still knock you to the left because it's trying not to let you skip it. But
yeah. But
there's a very small window where you can jump over the whole thing, so that's nice.
And of course, every time I do that, I take damage. My health's going to look a little scary here, but we should be fine. I'm not really too worried about my health. We only take 1 damage per hit, so.
Yeah, we don't need 2 runs in a row when we're worried about our health.
Oh gosh, I really hope not. Well, I will be worried about my health later on, actually.
That's true.
There are some spots where I take intentional damage later on.
So on Shantae Game Boy Color, we didn't have to worry about RNG for the money so much, but
here we got to worry just a little bit.
Right.
At least for the very start. I want to have about 130 gems by the time we're done with this area. Or not 130 gems, I'd say 118 gems. We need 130 gems for the shop, but there's some gems in Scuttletown. Unfortunately, we're getting quite a few gems here, and I'm also very close to dying.
This venue's cursed, man.
After I said I wasn't going to worry about dying, but it's okay. We just got basically all of our health back like that. So
unlike Shantae Game Boy Color, unlike Pirate's Curse, the items in this game are not consumable. They're actually like spells that you can use. So you
exactly.
Can see Jake has a magic meter on the top left. We're going to be kind of min-maxing the magic meter, so you shouldn't see it get too low for too long. But what that means is that the items in the shop are much more expensive because you're not just buying 1 pike ball, you're buying a pike ball for the rest of the game. Yeah,
exactly. And you can buy upgrades to those pike balls as well. So like the pike ball is 30 gems, the super pike ball is 100 gems, so that's why I want those 130 gems. And then there's another upgrade to it later that's 300 gems that we're going to be getting. So we need quite a few gems, but with all the pots that we're going to be breaking throughout this area, we should have all those gems by the time we're ready for Scimitar. And we're getting a really good RNG on our gem count. I normally do not have this many gems by this point. I'm supposed to have like
already, man.
Supposed to have like 100 or like 90 at this point. But now I'm at 136. I already have all the gems I need for my very first shop, which is actually, I prefer having more gems because we're going to need them all for the end of the game. So, but now we've got our very first boss. Risky has this giant Tinker Slug right here, but the name she gave it is quite interesting. You can see it says, "Don't call it Poop Toot." The name of this boss is the part omni-organic, partially titanic, ocean optional Tinker Slug, which in an acronym form spells Poop Toot.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate. You can see there's this crane at the top left that's rotating. I have to hit the spell once that crane's done rotating, hit the bomb towards the Tinker Slug, smack it while it's down, rinse and repeat 3 times. It sort of feels like a Mario boss, pretty much. Can't really do anything, can't smack the bell early, just gotta wait for that crane to rotate all the way. Like that. Gonna smack it one more time.
So I think in general, compared to the bosses of the previous 2 games, the bosses in this game tend to have a lot of health.
Yes. And that is a recurring trend throughout the series, actually.
They just get healthier and healthier.
The game after this, the bosses have even more health.
That's insane. So we're going to be putting that $130 to good use to get that super pike ball as early as possible.
Hey, look, we got the Dynamo blueprints back.
Right. So they were stolen by Risky. I'm sure you could guess, but we put a stop to her. So now we're back to the main plot of collecting
the Dynamo
ingredients, parts.
Yeah.
Not ingredients.
Ingredients, parts, same thing. It's a recipe of sorts.
So we're gonna have to do. I think this game is a little more heavy on the trading than Pirate's Curse was, and certainly more heavy on the trading than Game Boy Color was. But it's all just a means to an end to get those parts for the Dynamo.
Exactly.
And also subtly different in this game. You still get the transformation dances like Game Boy Color, but you don't get them halfway through a dungeon.
You get them after completing a level.
After you finish the level. So it's kind of like, it's got half Pirate's Curse, half Game Boy Color. So we have like the individual islands, kind of like we do in Pirate's Curse.
Yeah.
But then we have the transformation dances like we do in Game Boy Color.
Yep, so I have quite a few gems here. I don't think I've ever had this amount of gems at this point in the game.
Great. So hanging out in Town Square, we'll return here a couple times because that's where the NPCs are. It's almost like they give you quests to go to the next map. And it's also where the shop is. So we're gonna buy that. We're gonna buy the Super Pike Ball.
Yep.
Which is gonna increase our damage output immensely. And you saw how much health the boss has, so that's gonna be appreciated.
Yep. And I guess while we're at it, I'll talk a little bit about the monkey transformation because it is a bit different in this game compared to the original GBC Shantae. So the monkey transformation, unlike original Shantae, you move a lot faster, right? So you have a speed increase, and then your jump height is also significantly more than the GBC Shantae in this game. So actually, I went the wrong way.
I was about to say, I think we're gonna go back to Burning Town.
I meant to go back to Burning Town, but instead I went to the next area. So I'm just gonna warp out of here. Unfortunately, we have a
no more
quick one.
pirate flares, no more exit candies. You get the permanent whistle to go back to the world map whenever you want.
So I actually want to go here back to Main Street because there's a couple things we want to clean up back here. We're not quite done with this area yet, but fortunately this is the last time we'll actually be here. There is a bit of backtracking at different points in this game, but now you can sort of see the monkey in its, not its full form, but close to its full form. As you can see, it's moving quite a bit faster and we can jump quite a bit higher. We can climb on walls. And there's going to be an upgrade that we're going to get to it later on.
Now, unfortunately, just like on Game Boy Color, the monkey cannot attack. But because transforming does not cost you 7 seconds anymore, we can kind of min-max, turn into Shantae in human form, use the Super Pike Ball for just a half a second, and then you go right back.
Yeah. So that allows us to break these large pods very quickly.
Right. And that's going to help us get all that money that we need over the course of the run.
Yeah, each of those pods contains 12 gems guaranteed. So with all of those in a row, you can get a lot of gems very quickly. I'd say by the end of the next area, I'm going to want to have around 300 gems. Doesn't look like I have nearly that much right now, but trust me, we're going to get a lot more gems as we go through.
Something I want to mention is that each of these levels is kind of divided into multiple sections. So we have that section with the water in the background, and then we go through a save point, and now it's different. It's on fire. It's like a different level almost. And so that is what the warp dance, that Jake was talking about, warp to the danger, it lets you go to the next section, basically. And so obviously it wouldn't be any fun if we just dance at the beginning of every single section, but...
Just skip through it all, right? Yeah, no, that's no fun.
New in this game compared to Game Boy Color is you can actually get some upgrades for the different forms. So the only one that we're actually going to get, though, is the Monkey Bullet, because that's the only one that makes us run really fast.
We're actually going to get another one that's required
later, the Stomp, that's right.
There's also another one after that.
Never mind. I haven't played this game before, guys.
That's okay, that's okay. We'll talk more about the other upgrades as we get them. We won't use them very often, but we will get some extra upgrades.
So the Monkey Bullet is right on our way where we want to go, and it also gives us a little bit of extra movement speed, so we can be optimal. And every time there's a little tiny lip, we can grab that ledge and do a Monkey Bullet really fast to get going.
Yep.
This section here, we have to farm 30 kills. It's pretty easy with the Super Pike Ball, and they drop some magic too, so we're looking fine on magic.
Yep, we also got the health permit out of that. We had to kill 30 to get a health permit. If you ever wanted to open a restaurant, if you just defeat 30 Tinkerbats in that one specific area, you get a health permit that lets you open a restaurant. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure you're quite the aspiring chef, Purple.
Yeah. And we have so much good food here at MomoCon 2025.
Mm-hmm. You haven't had a single bite. That's a joke. He hasn't had a single bite since he's been here.
Yeah, sponsored. You guys can pay me $20 for the sponsorship after the run.
But we're going to give the health permit to this girl right here.
To someone who actually is an aspiring chef.
Yes, and she's going to give us the salted caramel, which is just a nice little thing that we can use for later. But now we're actually going to go to Mermaid Falls.
Okay, good. I had it on my note card. I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah. I was too distracted talking about the monkey transformation.
Well, it's such a good transformation,
It is. It's a very, very powerful transformation. Throughout this area, we're going to be monkey for the most part, and we're going to try to dash off of these little lips right here just to save a little bit of swimming time. Because as you can see, swimming is quite slow, and the only way to speed it up is by jumping out of it. So, gotta be
anytime you see a little overhang like that, Jake's going to try to grab the ledge, which can be hard to do because if you touch the water for even a single frame, you instantly turn back into a human.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of damage here, which is fine. I just need the right amount of health for the boss that'll be coming up fairly soon.
All right. So in terms of the plot, someone has kidnapped all the mermaids on Mermaid Falls, and they have excuse me, they captured all of the women on Mermaid Falls and are turning them into mermaids in the factory. So we gotta stop that.
Yeah, they're just doing that by like putting fish on them. So
And
fake mermaids.
This level kind of introduces these little rings. You'll see them a couple times. They're not moving that fast right now, but each of these levels actually changes after you beat it and they come back later. So
yep, we'll be making our way back here later on in the run after about the third area.
So we have kind of a platforming section where we're trying to avoid enemies, get money, and hang on to these little rings everywhere we go.
And again, we're breaking all the pots we can as we go through here.
Right. The fact that we don't have to actually have the super pike ball active very long means our magic meter is going to go a long way.
Oh yeah, we can preserve our magic for basically the only time where you really have to worry about magic is sort of towards the end of the game, like on the final boss, where it's actually very easy to run out of magic.
Because they just have so much health.
Yeah.
So we're just like in Pirate's Curse, how we're trying to get those monster milks. We'd really like a way to increase our damage output in this game as well.
Which we'll come across.
But no monster milks in this game.
No monster milks.
But we do have a different food.
We do have different food. We've got oranges.
Right.
Well, oranges don't really buff us. They do heal us, though. And on this auto-scroller right here, there are about 5 oranges. They heal us about a heart. You don't need to pick them up, but they are very, very useful to make sure that we don't die whenever we are taking a lot of damage. You can see there's one right here. There's 5 on the slide. They're all in the same spot every single time, so not too hard to get.
Right, and the usage of that orange, like, it's really flexible.
Yes.
Speedrun. If you take too much damage in this section, we'll use an orange there.
I just missed
you
one
take
right there.
less damage in a different section, maybe you can save your orange for later. So it's not, he missed one, but that's not critical for the speedrun. And in fact, maybe there's a chance that you don't need to use any oranges at all.
If I'm lucky, but I'll likely have to use at least 1 or 2 oranges for at least Cape Crustacean, which is the 4th area of the game. That area is very easy to take a lot of damage in, and there's damage that we even take on purpose there, but I'll explain more about that whenever we get there.
Right, so we're on this auto-scroller. There's not a whole lot going on. We're using it to farm oranges, and you just hit 300 gems.
Yep.
So that's perfect. That's exactly what we want.
We are at the right gem count right here. We got some more gators skating from the ceiling. Of course, they come at the same time, so I can just sort of smack them as they come down. If I don't do that, they're going to throw fish at me, and I'm going to take damage, which I don't really want because we're actually coming up on our next boss right here, who we do take intentional damage on. Not for the first phase, but for the second phase. So I'm trying to avoid taking as much damage as possible.
So there's a couple auto-scrollers in this game, and the last one in particular is really, really long.
Yeah, it's really, really long. I'm not looking forward to doing that one.
Right. Okay, so here we are on the first boss.
Second boss.
Second boss.
We've got Giga Mermaid right here. She's being mind controlled by Techno Baron right now. So we're gonna break the locks to sort of free her, and then we can move on to her second phase. Her attacks here are RNG. That beam, you can see it's not really working all that well. It's not super effective, and in fact, it only does 1 damage. As big as scary as that beam is. But we're gonna get through this first phase pretty handily, not too bad. The second phase, Giga Mermaid has a few attacks that she can do. She can either sort of slam into the side and spawn platforms, slam into the side and not spawn platforms, or she can do her tail attack. So there she didn't spawn the platforms right there. But whenever she lowers herself, I can actually bounce off of her and hit her weak spot with the Super Pike Ball, which normally you're supposed to wait for this phase to hit her.
Right, you're supposed to use those rings to grab onto and jump over to the head, but the Super Pike Ball is tall enough that we can reach that from the ground.
Yeah, and that lets us hit her when we're not supposed to, which allows you to kill her really fast. She's like the one boss of the game that doesn't have very much health at all because you're supposed to hit her 1 at a time.
Okay, so we finish an area. We get our next transformation dance.
Correct. Next, we're getting the crab transformation. We're not going to see crab all too often, but we will see crab. Crab lets us swim through water, which you can't normally do. Normally, you just sort of float to the top. You walk at normal Shantae moving speed. It's not super useful, but there's a couple times where we will have to use crab. We do love crab for as little as we see here in the run. And also another thing about the transformation areas is that there's a little tutorial for how to use the transformation. They will not let you leave without learning how to use that transformation. So earlier we got that salted caramel from the girl back in Burning Town.
And conveniently, finishing Mermaid Falls is going to put us right back here.
Yep.
To cash it in.
So we're going to give the salted caramel to this kid right here. And in return, she's going to give us some birdseed.
Which we're feeding to this really big bird right here, right?
Nope. We're not feeding it to Wrench, unfortunately.
Oh, Wrench grew up.
Wrench did grow up. We're actually going to give it to this guy right here who wants to feed his bird. And in exchange for that, he's going to give us copper ore, which I don't know about you, but this doesn't really seem like equivalent exchange. It's a heavy metal for some birdseed. But now at the shop, I'm going to buy a fireball, I'm going to buy backdash, and then I'm going to buy warp dance. So we're not going to do a warp through the danger, but we are going to use warp dance for its intended purpose here.
You saw how long that auto scroller was. We do not want to do a level that long again if we can help it.
Yeah. We're going to give the copper ore to Uncle Mimic for the dynamo machine, and then he's going to let us go off on our grand journey. We're going to head all the way to the right to talk to the mayor of Scuttletown, and if we do it right, it kind of looks like I'm pickpocketing him, kind of like that. Reaching into his pocket to grab the map. I'm going to break this pause right here as well to get a few extra gems. Again, we're still doing like really well.
Good I noticed that. You got well over 300 in that other section.
I've never had this many gems at this point of the game.
So the fireball that Jake bought is not like the fireball you just saw on Game Boy Color Shantae.
No, that's sort of been...
It's like a projectile that moves straight ahead in front of you.
Yeah, the fireball has sort of been replaced by the super pike ball.
Yeah.
And the fireball now has a new purpose.
And you won't see too much use, but might as well buy it now because it forcibly brings us back to the town.
Yeah, well, actually, we will use it for the boss.
Yeah, but
that's really it. So now we're in Tasseltown. Now this area is quite tricky. It's very easy to take a lot of damage. I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's more so annoying than anything.
It's really difficult to play optimally. There's a lot of things that kind of get in your way.
Like this guy right here, but fortunately he was quite nice. We like to call that bird jerk bird.
So Jake, Jake's really good. He can play fast, but sometimes you don't always get what you want in terms of playing super optimally because this area does not make it easy. You got that bird there, almost interrupted your transformation.
Yeah, but he was really high up, so he wasn't really too much of that. He can be at a random height. So we got really lucky there. And now we're coming up on a set of wind. So this wind's going to push us back pretty hard. If I do this whole section right, I can do it in about 5 cycles. If I do it even faster, I can do it in 4 cycles. Of course, I'm going to get hit there. So that's automatically basically going to make that a 5 cycle right there.
Yeah, so moving with the monkey bullet, you're just fast enough that you can kind of outrun the window a little bit, and Jake's going to use that to just barely get past some of these platforms to hang on to. That was close.
Yeah, it's just a little bit close. It's going to look pretty tight. Should get one more wind cycle right here. If I had hit that, landed on that platform earlier, I would have gotten a 4 cycle, but that is okay. 5 cycle is typical. So I'm not really too bummed out about that. I'm going to wait for this guy to shoot his bullets right here. Up here. Ran into that.
And we're into the tower.
Yes. The tower has my favorite boss in the game. We're not going to fight him just yet, but, everyone go say hi to Wilbur, the giant dream-eating sandworm, who eats all your memories and dreams. He's going to be chasing us up throughout this tower.
He looks quite scary, but he doesn't actually move that fast. We can easily run over to the side and get some extra money. And you'll notice at several points, if the pot is next to a wall, we can use the monkey bullet to break it without losing too much time. You don't have to transform back and forth if we can get it in monkey form completely, as opposed to using the super pike. But more critical, this is just kind of an auto-scroller. We have a very difficult section going up. It's called the Sky Bridge. And you're running across, there's a bottomless pit at the bottom of the screen. There's blocks that kind of go in and out of the background. You can only land on them at certain times.
Yeah, it's a very cycle dependent area.
Right. There's a cycle you have to make. It's very technical. There's several jumps where he will just barely grab the ledge as in monkey form. Quite difficult.
Yeah, everything I'm going to be doing in this next area, Skybridge, is going to be for the sake of staying on a very specific cycle. If I'm not on that cycle, it makes the rest of the area very hard, a lot harder. So now I'm gonna stop talking for this next section.
Yeah, all right, lock in, man. So in this first half, you can see we have some enemies coming out of the pit. We'll take damage there on purpose so that we can stay on cycle. Everything that Jake's doing here is to stay on cycle, no matter how subtle it seems. We have some archers here, and they shoot a relatively slow-moving projectile, and they get very frustrating in the next room because those projectiles can stay on screen for a long way.
So that's going to put us way off cycle, but that's okay. Just going to wait a second for this platform. Now we're on a completely different cycle. I'm not normally on this cycle, so we're just going to...
Today is the day of improving Shantae runs.
Exactly. That's okay. We're making it through just fine.
So those archer projectiles stay on screen for a while. They'll get in your way even more than these blocks do, and barely making it over that one. Pick up some money while we're here.
Oh, not quite.
The platforms were not where we were expecting them to be, because so that means unfortunately we're off cycle. That jump in particular is really scary.
Oh, this is looking quite scary. I'm going to go ahead and use an orange here,
yeah,
so I don't die.
So that's where like the flexibility of having the oranges, because they don't give you that much health. So it's like if you need to top up your health real fast, you can use an orange as opposed to using like a full heal and wasting it on just a couple of hearts. So speaking of hearts,
yep, now
you're in need of some health right now.
Yeah, so fortunately we get another heart holder right here, which is going to give us 4 hearts and also give us a nice full heal. And fortunately, I think we are back on a cycle that we want to be on for those platforms that stick out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
We messed up enough to where now we're back on a good cycle.
It works.
So
see, on purpose, you fix it.
I fixed it.
So see, these arrows are going to follow Jake even to the next screen.
But I'm going to get hit on purpose here, actually.
Right. But now we have enough health, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But they get in your way when you're trying to jump across these Mega Man blocks that come in and out.
Yeah, there we go. That should be that area.
Wow.
Whew.
Okay,
we're done. That area is rough. But now we've got a bit of a stress reliever boss.
We get to chill out.
Get to chill.
Wilbur's back. He finally made it to the top of the tower. He probably chose a lot easier route than we did. And unfortunately, he's a bit of an auto-scroller, so he has his beam attack. You can see how difficult it is to avoid the beam attack. And really the goal of this section is you need to shoot him with a cannon. So he's going to use this meteor attack. The meteor's all the way over there. And the reason we have the fireball is so we can hit that meteor just a little bit earlier. It goes in the cannon, you push the button, and it does damage to the boss.
Yep.
And he's just going to repeat that pattern several times. So what we're looking for here is the red meteor falls really close to Shantae, kind of on the foreground of the screen.
The fireball also lets us hit this eyeball. We have got a little bit of a ping pong section where we got to hit this eyeball back and forth.
So the fireball lets us hit it just that little bit earlier.
Yeah, normally hitting it, you have to hit it with like the hair whip, but that's pretty difficult to time, especially later on when it starts going a bit faster. Of course, boss isn't too hard, so I can just kind of mess around
we can hang out.
I can sort of mitigate the RNG of the meteor where it's going to land just based off of just standing next to the button where I'm supposed to fire. It lets me hit it right into the cannon and just land straight on the button.
That was a very fast cycle that we got because it just landed right next to it. So the fireball, it's used for a couple of optimizations here, but it's really nothing you couldn't have done with your hair in the first place, right? So
yeah.
But it's nice to have the optimization, and it makes this part a lot harder to mess up.
Yeah, this fireball makes this boss fight way easier. Not that it's really that hard in the first place, but just makes it just a little bit nicer to do.
If the item makes the boss faster and easier, we might as well buy it.
Exactly. And we also do use it for one more thing later on in the run. Gonna stand next to the switch again. Not the best RNG, but not terrible.
So we have one more after this one?
Yep, one more eyeball phase, and then one more cannon phase, and then we're done with the fight. Again,
so something we haven't talked about yet, you bought the backdash ability at the store as well.
Yes, I did buy the backdash ability. Thing about the backdash is that it lines us up perfectly against the wall, which we can actually use for an out-of-bounds trick, which we'll be doing a few times in this run. Later on, not right now. We get a different dance for that, and whenever we get that dance, I'll sort of explain like that's what it's used for. But that backdash lines us up perfectly against the wall to clip out of bounds. See where this lands.
Hopefully in the front.
Yep, right here.
Heck yeah.
Right next to me. Fireball's gonna sort of look like it's gonna miss, but it's gonna hit him anyways.
Yeah, we don't want to be in
Wilbur.
this. We don't want to be in the auto scroller any longer than we have to.
No, no, no. And now we've got our next transformation coming up, the elephant transformation.
Elephant is back.
Elephant is back.
And just as slow.
Just as slow. But elephant does have a use that I'll talk about whenever we get there. We're actually very close to that.
Oh, really? So,
That really helpful use, yeah.
so we're heading right back to Tasseltown immediately. Is that right?
Yep. We're headed right back.
No breaks for the town quite yet. So, in that first section with that level with the wind, there is a secret underwater cave that you can get to, and you need to be a lot later in the game to get that. But because the elephant transformation is so wide, we can actually stand inside like a sand pit, and as it's sucking us down into the floor, we turn into the elephant, and you're wide enough to touch the loading zone. So that's going to eliminate a lot of backtracking that we had to do later.
Yes. That is normally not something you can get until the very, very end of the game. So getting it early while we're here is nice. We have to be here anyways. So
yeah. So this section that we're doing is really just we're still working on that trading quest. We're going to be picking up parts for the dynamo.
yeah, but it's not a part that we're going to be using now. It's a part that we're going to be using for the very, very end of the game.
And you can see that since we've beaten the Tasseltown level already, the second time we come back, it's nighttime. The enemies are slightly different.
Just slightly.
There's some subtle differences. So like things you need to trade might be a little bit different when you come back. So sometimes we'll need to do some backtracking because it's a different level when you come back.
Yep.
So not as critical as the day-night cycle on Game Boy Color, but it is going to help us out in the run. So here's the sand pit. We're going to sink into the sand a little bit.
Hold on. Sorry. Just killing the jerk bird.
You don't want to messing up your clip. And then we'll turn into the elephant where we're wide and we're in.
Yep. So that again skips like an entire transformation and a transformation upgrade.
Right.
So that is very, very useful to get right there.
And now the next thing we need to do is inside that tower. And because we have the warp dance, we can just go straight there.
Yep. So the warp dance is normally used to skip a level that you've already beaten.
Right.
So
we already beat this one.
So we're done with it.
So now that it's nighttime, even though, I mean, you're inside. So it's nighttime, so we have this new NPC. He's going to let us use the elephant stomp attack. And he is an archaeologist that is looking for some of the remains that are in the area. So there are some suspicious statues that are at the edge of the room. And it turns out you can smash right through them with the elephant, and then that's where the remains are hidden.
Yep. Unfortunately, there's no Wilbur chasing us. Wilbur's dead. We killed him earlier.
Yeah. So we got to get 5 of them. So the tower is not too much more exciting than it was the last time. But just be on the lookout for those statues at the edge of the screen. So we can smash through them, and then you stomp on the flower.
Yep. So another thing is there are more pots here. And a different way you can break these pots is with the monkey bullet. You have to hit them at just the right spot. So like if you hit them too high, you can actually break the pots and not actually pick up the gems when going through, right? So you actually want to be low when you hit the pot, but it's sort of the faster way to break the pots here, considering that they're sort of on every side of the room. Just skips
you don't
the
have to transform back and forth.
Exactly.
It doesn't use 7 seconds like it did on Game Boy, but it is. If we can skip a transformation, we will.
Just a little bit of a micro optimization, yeah. Oh, got hit right there. That's okay. Not really too super concerned about my health quite yet. I will definitely be concerned about my health in the area after the next one.
Right.
But right now, I'm not like super concerned about my health. But I'm not going to get any heals before the area where I will be taking damage on purpose.
How's 400 gems look?
400 gems is pretty good for this part. I believe you want about this many gems, so we're actually pretty good overall for this this run. This is honestly a pretty high amount still, but all of the remaining gems that we have left over after the next shop we'll be using to get potions, because the final boss in this game will two-shot me. So having potions is very, very helpful for not dying during that. We're going to go right here instead of left to climb up to the very top of the tower to get this last set of remains right here. And we just did a pretty hard task. Pretty grueling task.
We gotta get a pretty good reward here.
Gotta get a really good reward, right? So we're gonna give him his remains, and for all that we get sick.
We get sick.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I think we caught the Concrud. Shantae caught the Concrud. So now we're gonna warp out here. We're gonna be sick for a good chunk of the run, at least for the next area.
Fortunately, Shantae can power through it. It doesn't affect your movement or your health or damage or anything. It's just another plot item. They thought it would be cute to do the play on words with "you got sick."
You got sick, yeah. We're back at Mermaid Falls, but we're actually just going to warp dance right out of here. That's the last time you're going to see the warp dance on the run. We don't need to do any other, not much backtracking that requires warp dance after this. So we're back at Mermaid Fall or Mermaid Factory, and you can see those rings are moving quite a bit faster. This area has gone a bit haywire since Techno Baron was defeated. Gonna miss that ring, unfortunately. That's okay. We're just gonna come up and grab this one. And now you can see the rings actually move faster than Shantae. So instead of skipping that one at the start, we can actually just wait a little bit and grab onto it to save a little bit of time.
So in terms of plot, we're still trying to build the dynamo. And the next part that we need is on an island that's famous for doing magic carpet races.
Yes.
And so we're doing a quest right now. It's kind of similar to the remains that we just got. They give you a power-up. You use the power-up to get the remains. Here we get the crab claw.
Yep. We've got Grandma Blobfish, who seems to have lost all of her grandchildren. So we got to go around and find all our Blobfish kids. There are 5 throughout Mermaid Factory. So we're going to go and grab all of those. One little neat bit of tech about the crab claw is that normally you have a bit of end lag when using the crab claw. But if you're jumping when you use the crab claw, you actually don't have any end lag. So you're going to see me jumping a little bit in here to basically lose no time breaking open the seaweed's blocks. Yeah. Gonna hop right back up here.
Another reason we're here, we need a second plot item later. We need some gator steaks. And, there's all these alligators in the factory. And normally you get the gator steaks as a random drop while killing them. But the fireball will actually cook them right there on the spot. And so we can get the guaranteed steaks from them. We'll do that in just a moment as we're coming up here on our last kid. Yep. The warp squid from Game Boy Color, they also lost all their children. So apparently...
Seems to be a recurring trend.
You do not want to be the child of an aquatic creature in the Shantae universe. You will get lost.
Or you end up losing your children, one or the other.
Ooh, got it that time.
Nice. Gonna be making our way back over to Grandma Blobfish now that we've gotten all our kids.
Yeah, unfortunately we can't warp dance to skip this section because we'll go too far.
Yeah, it'll just bring us to the end of the level, so. And then for that, we get a race ticket. And this race ticket is one of the quest items that we need to access the next area. It gets us another piece of the dynamo. Now we just got to make our way back to the top. We're not quite done yet.
Yeah, we got to eat some alligator. You ever eaten alligator, Jake?
No, I actually haven't. Did I not pick up those gems?
People say it tastes like chicken, and they are right.
I heard it's sort of like a tougher chicken, basically.
So we got a race ticket, but Shantae can't go by herself. We got to bring our friend Roddy Tops with us.
Of course.
We will have to get a second one with a different side quest.
So that's what we're going to complete right now.
So we're not off to the races quite yet.
I'm going to switch to my fireball right here, and I'm going to take some intentional damage on these gators right here.
Yeah, we want to stack them up, kind of like the scorpions that we did earlier. Soften them up a little bit, and then you get the kill with the fireball, and they'll drop the steak.
Yeah.
There's also a shop here, which is really convenient.
Yep. So we're gonna buy the Dryad dance, and then we're gonna trade in our warp dance for the Gem Dug dance, and then now we're done here. So the Dryad dance, normally it lets you spawn some fruit, right? Some oranges, gets a little bit more health.
We like some oranges.
We do like some oranges, but we're not gonna use it for that purpose. The Dryad dance will actually let us clip through walls, the leftwards walls, right? And then that backdash that we got earlier
will put us right up against the wall.
Will put us right up against the wall. I'm supposed to go right. Okay.
So when you transform into either the Dryad or the Gem Jug, Shantae kind of spawns in a little bit off-center. So the Gem Jug is particularly bad. You go really far through the wall with that one. The Dryad, not as much.
Yeah, you have to do with Dryad Dance. You have to clip 4 times, or you have to do 4 transformations in a row, standing at the same spot, and it just pushes you to the left, just a little bit every single time.
It's very similar to the clip that we did on Game Boy Color in Twinkle Palace.
I'm gonna stop by the bathhouse here, and then I'm actually gonna go to the shop to buy our last Pike Ball upgrade. I'm also gonna buy some potions while I'm here. We got Scimitar.
Little extra money.
Yeah, so Scimitar.
That's really what we were saving our money from.
Yes, exactly. So now we don't really need any other gems, but of course I'm going to keep collecting them so we can get more potions. But the Scimitar, one of the big differences between 1.0 version of Half-Genie Hero and later versions is they realized that the Scimitar is really broken in terms of how much damage it deals. So the Scimitar actually consumes like the same rate of magic as the Super Pike Ball in this game. But in later versions, it consumes magic at a much faster rate. And in later games as well, it also consumes magic at a much faster rate.
Something else that's really nice about it is that it's very large, like physically on the screen.
Yes.
So it gives us extra range and a ton of extra damage. And
Ton of
like,
extra
like we
damage.
were saying earlier, the bosses in this game have so much health
Yes.
that the Scimitar will definitely be appreciated.
It shreds them, honestly.
So here we are. We're all excited for the big race. We
Big
just
race.
collected tickets. All our friends are here. And it's an auto-scroller.
It's an auto-scroller. Something about Half-Genie here is that it really loves its auto-scrollers. There are quite a few in this game. Not really too many ways to lose time. Even if you fall off, you're just going to bounce right back up back onto the magic carpet. Of course, I don't want to do that. This is the one area, or one of the areas of the game where I'm going to be taking some intentional damage later on.
Right.
I actually do 3 damage boosts throughout this whole level.
This section right here is really no big deal. The easiest way to win the race is to cheat, right? So we'll take out the competition. They drop money, which is nice because that's more potions to have later. It's not too technical, but the next section, Ammo Baron will make his reappearance. And Ammo Baron's minions will hit for a lot of damage.
They do. They do about 2 damage per hit.
Jake has picked up an extra heart holder, but it's not enough to get over that breakpoint. He will still die in only a handful of hits. Depending on the enemy, 2 hits with 4 hearts. So that part can be a little scary.
Yes. So we're coming up on the end of this auto-scroller here, so I guess I'll start talking about our... we actually got a mini-boss coming up right here.
Twitch and Vinegar are back.
Twitch and Vinegar are back indeed.
Holy, 3 hours ago? They're back from 3 hours ago?
No, I mean, we just saw them. We gave them the gator shakes, remember?
Right.
So...
Well, just for a split second. They're back for good now.
Twitch and Vinegar also had the idea of cheating the competition, right? You know, the best way to win is to destroy the competition. So now they're going to attack us so that they can win the race. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up my Scimitar and actually start hopping down, and you can see just how much damage I'm doing to these guys just from falling in that pit right there and hitting them with Scimitar.
So we want to be close to them, so that's why we jumped in the pit, but we don't want to lose too much health.
Yeah.
So 2 1/4 is perfect because if you take a hit... Oh, never mind. 2 is not perfect because you might get 1 shot, which is, you know, that's another reason we picked up those oranges. It puts us right above the break point.
There goes Vinegar. We just got Twitch left. There we go. Okay, that was a little hairy, but not too bad. Bit of a longer fight than what I'm used to. But now we've got our next area, so...
Right, which is Ammo Baron's fleet.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Ammo Baron in this game has a ship fleet. This area is very scary just because of how much damage everything does. Exactly.
Or do you want to just go ahead and eat the orange right now?
I'll probably wait a little bit. I think I should be good right now. They'll pop out of these little holes right there, sort of at random. Oopsies. Now I'm going to eat the orange, and I fall. Sort of bad thing about this area is that if you fall, it sends you all the way back to the very start.
And there are some lasers that if you get hit with them, they will also take you back to the start. So getting hit for 2 hearts sucks, but it sucks less than getting hit by a laser.
Yeah.
So we will use some iframes to get through them a little bit later. But yeah, we're really trying to avoid taking damage as much as possible.
As you can see, we're losing quite a bit of time from this, and we're also taking quite a bit of damage.
Just the heart in the pot respawn, it does. Okay.
That's actually a different pot.
Never mind.
It is not. The pots do not respawn in this area.
Uh-oh.
We should be good, though. We do have extra potions, so I
That's
can
right.
use
We
them.
had some extra money, so you do have the potion.
Yes. I'm going to heal right here again with another orange.
We'd rather use an orange than a potion because it heals for less. It's less valuable. But you know, when it's this hairy, sometimes you gotta chow down.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Oh, whoa. I've never seen the ship like basically disappear like that. That was weird. But we've got to wait for this ship to come over. This cannon can unfortunately hit us if we are unlucky, but
Quite scary. So fortunately, this is like one of the only bosses in the game where you get a full heal right before you go in. So
yes.
it's looking hairy, but we will be topped up and ready to go by the time we hit the boss.
Fortunately, that was basically the last scary part. We're going to take some...
Yeah, so here's where we'll use the iframes to get through the lasers.
Going to get a little bit of extra heart. Going to break more of these pots to maybe get some more hearts. Normally, I don't go out of my way to break these pots, but in this case, I would really like the health.
The run's calling for it, yeah.
Yeah. So again, like this whole level is just very hairy with how much damage you take. It's very easy to take damage. You take a lot of damage from these enemies. They deal 4 damage per hit.
4/4 of a heart.
Yeah, 4/4 of a heart. So that's a whole heart.
Some people would say 1 heart, yeah.
I'm going to transform into Scimitar here to just take my time through this area to try to maybe get a little bit of extra health.
Yeah,
then we're actually going to do a backdash clip right here. So backdash, transform into Gem Jug.
So because you spawn off center, we're through the wall.
We just sort of hop through that wall right there. I'm going to maybe press my luck a little bit. Try to not get hit here. It's a little easier to dodge damage here than otherwise.
You saw the power of the scimitar in kind of these close quarter situations because it's just so big.
All right, then we've got this one last room right up here.
So sometimes if you're not feeling as brave as Jake is, you will you'll use the scimitar to get through some of these rooms. So we made it perfectly on a 1/4 heart, just in time for the full heal.
Yep, we are all good. I'm not too worried about my health. Shantae looks a bit beat up. She looks kind of... She doesn't look too hot right now.
Well, you are sick right now.
I am. Yeah, that's true. I am also sick. So not only do we have a 1/4 heart, but we're sick. But that's okay because the game is nice enough to give us a full heal. I don't know why in the other bosses they don't give you full heals before them, but this one specifically does. Maybe because they realize this area is hard.
It's hard, yeah.
It's hard.
So this boss, he doesn't have too much health. We want to use the scimitar as much as possible, obviously, but it can be difficult because you have to jump into him from below, and his minions will kind of fall in from above. So it's kind of tricky to avoid getting hit. See how close they're coming, and sometimes you do get hit. But luckily with that full heal, we can pass a DPS check, you know, where you kind of just hit him and he hits you, but you come out on top. So this shouldn't take too much longer.
Yeah, we're on the last phase. So whenever the camera zooms out a little bit, that's an indicator of a phase change for this boss fight. But we should just be right about killing him right now. There we go.
All right, so not much in the way of trading the items in this island. So we're really just doing this to beat the boss and get the transformation at the end.
Yep. And now that we've beaten him, we've destroyed his armor. He's all the soldiers in his underwear. And we're on to our next transformation.
Awesome. So yeah, not much to do. We won't be coming back here to trade things like we do in Mermaid Falls. I feel like we go to Mermaid Falls so many times in this game.
We got one more trip to Mermaid Falls.
Coming up pretty soon.
Pretty soon, yeah. Actually coming up basically right now. So we've got the last transformation here, Mouse, but we're actually just going to skip it. It's quite a slow transformation. It lets you crawl through like all those little crevices that you can see in this room. But you're small.
We don't need it. We can clip through the wall.
We can clip through the wall, so it's just sort of a waste of time to pick it up.
And you're small and you're slow.
Yeah, it's just
so
no good all around.
Luckily, there's only one time in the game when you need to use the mouse. Well, I guess 2 because we just did that one. But we can skip both of them, so we will not be collecting the mouse.
But hey, look, we got a doctor right here. We got sick earlier. We're going to give him our sick. And in return, we're going to get a lollipop.
Yay.
Hooray. Everyone loves their token lollipop that they get at the end of a doctor's visit.
I went to the dentist earlier this week, and I did not get a lollipop. Not even a sugar-free one.
That's rough, buddy.
No.
But now we've got this lollipop in hand, so we're going to go back to Mermaid Falls one last time. We're actually going to use this lollipop. It's going to look a little different, again, since we've already cleared this area once before. The enemies are going to look a bit different. They're actually a bit more tame this time around.
Right.
Getting around them is a bit
were
easier.
Very aggressive.
Yes, but these ones like to wait a little bit before they attack. So these guys right here, they're just sort of walking around and sitting there. When they do fire, they fire a lot. It's sort of like a Gatling gun of projectiles. But again, they take forever to fire. So
they're quite tall, but when Shantae's in monkey form, she jumps so high, so it's okay. So, okay, our next NPC that we have to trade the lollipop to is inside the wall here. And fortunately for us, we have a moving platform. So normally the Dryad doesn't spawn very far to the left. But because we have this moving platform, we can get pushed inside.
It's going to push us right inside the wall, and then we can do another Gem Jug clip right here.
So Dryad for left walls.
Gem Jug for right walls. Yep. And that we give the lollipop to this guy, and he gives us the light shard, which is one of the last pieces of the dynamo that we need.
We really only have, what, one more to collect?
Yep. One more, well, basically one more piece to collect. Yeah.
But we are going to need a new map for that, so we'll take one last trip to the town and do some more trading.
This one, it's not really a trade, it's just sort of dropping it off. Dropping off the
we already
light shard.
did the trading.
We already did all the trading. There's not really any more trading. Drop off the light shard. And then we get our map to Hypno Baron's Castle. Now, Hypno Baron's Castle, what's normally supposed to be one of the hardest areas in the game, you can sort of is trivialized in the speedrun just based off of how much we can break it through those clips that we explained earlier. And this is
quite long too.
It is quite a long area.
So we have kind of like a vertical section in our first room, but we can clip through the wall. So we'll get through that pretty quickly. And then actually on the second section, only present in the 1.0 version, the developers actually put like a debug testing loading zone way out of bounds on the left. So we can clip out of bounds left, run all the way over there, and you can touch a loading zone that you are not meant to see.
Yes. So this first area is sort of like a big old maze. You're supposed to like go through all these different
you go up and
loading
down.
zones, and it takes you up, down, left, right. But we're just gonna not turn into Crab, turn into Gem Jug right here, and then we're gonna hop up through this wall into this maze right here, which is gonna take us exactly where we need to go. And this is that area where that instant tech skip saves about 13 seconds. It's talking to this guy. Did not mean to pull it.
So we're gonna go talk to Poe, and then on Poe's left is a wall, and clipping through a left wall much slower than clipping through a white wall.
There we go. We got it.
A right wall, excuse me. And if you talk to him, he will like pull you in through the wall. But with the instant tech skip, we don't get the dialogue ever, so he does not pull us through the wall, and we can do only rightwards clips because those are much faster.
Yeah. If we failed that, we'd have to do 4 drag clips, which would take us.
So here we are,
seconds.
we're going to the graveyard, which is where that debug loading zone is. So it is very far to the left.
Yep. So we're gonna.
For the first time, we don't have any moving platform. We don't have any instant tech skip. We got nothing to help us. We just had to clip, raw. And you can see how long it takes to go one transform after the other to get through the wall.
We got to do it twice, actually.
There's another wall over there. So it takes quite a long time. So we were fortunate that we were able to kind of skip this sequence several times.
There we go.
Just keep going, touch the loading zone, and we're in.
So in the later versions of Shantae Half-Genie Hero, that loading zone was removed, of course, because it was never meant to be there. But since it's here, we're going to abuse it.
So Squid Baron's back, and just like in Pirate's Curse, he has a lot of health.
He does. I think he has even more health, probably.
Yeah. So we have the scimitar in this game, and it still doesn't help. So he has a slight amount of RNG, but not that much. He's going to go through the same general pattern over and over again. And we're just going to use the scimitar to get as much damage as possible, in as little time as possible. So like where he jumps is random, but Jake knows he's going to jump.
Yeah. He always jumps at like the same interval.
Right.
So it's not really too difficult.
So easy to predict, even if you don't know exactly where on the screen he'll be. You know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And now we have to fight both Barons at the same time. And because Squid Baron has so much more health, we're going to focus on killing him. And if we get some scimitar hits on Hypno Baron, that's just bonus.
Just a little bit of extra damage.
Right.
Yep.
But Squid Baron is still the main focus because he has much more health. If we try to hit them both evenly, then Hypno Baron would die much earlier. And, then you kind of look like a fool hitting Squid Baron all this time when you could have been doing it immediately. He also stands still. That helps.
Yes, he won't do really any attacks. He will slam on the ground and send a wave. Doesn't really do that much damage.
Yeah.
It's also fairly easy to dodge.
Now, that fire will do a lot of damage, so we got to be careful for that. But luckily, it's quite slow moving, and we have ample opportunity to hit Squid Baron while it's burning. Yeah, don't do that again, man. We already had one scary run on this couch. We don't need to have 2.
A little bit of spooky RNG, but I should take care of Squid Baron right here. Or not. There we go.
So now,
Just gonna heal.
yeah, we had some extra gems, so use that extra potion to the fullest.
Yeah.
So Hypno Baron's pattern changes a little bit. He kind of comes down to the bottom of the screen a lot more often now that Squid Baron's dead, which is really nice because we are at the bottom of the screen.
There we go. That's Hypno Baron. See, he
Awesome.
got a lot, way less health. And then, unfortunately, we've got our last transformation coming up.
Right. So you know it. You love it.
Everyone's favorite, the Harpy
Everyone's favorite,
transformation.
the Harpy. Controls. I don't know. Have you guys ever played Joust?
Harpy controls the exact
That's
same in
just
this
like
game
Joust.
as she does in GPC Shantae.
And that includes
The drop to inputs.
It's so
Yeah.
bad.
It's quite annoying, especially when you're trying to fly over
Right.
some spikes.
But luckily,
and lava.
yeah, luckily we don't have that really tight quarters with the spikes this time, right?
Yeah.
Nope, we got that one too.
All right, so Purple, I'm gonna need you to pull out your phone.
Okay.
Real quick for me.
I'm helping.
This next skip coming up is the hardest skip in the game by far. It is the so you know we hate auto scrollers, right?
And there's been so many.
There's been so many, but fortunately we have one we can skip, and that's this
And
one right
the
here.
longest one is coming up.
Yes, the longest auto scroller. And the
You
reason
are.
I asked Purple to pull out his phone is because I actually need a stopwatch to do this glitch.
All right, we're gonna do this completely blind. So
Yep.
the only direction he has is he's gonna, hold right for 27 seconds, or something to that effect. So we'll cash in our items that we've gotten. Turns out, Risky swapped the plans, and it turns you into evil Shantae instead of defending the world. Now, luckily, Shantae's friends are here, so she's able to snap out of it. But we don't want that happening again. We got to build the real Dynamo instead of Risky's version.
Yep. We're gonna go to the shop real quick to pick up some last potions.
Right.
over
So
here.
any extra money that you get on your trip, you buy as many potions as you can because the final boss can be devastating.
Yeah. So the way that this auto scroller skip works is I'm going to start by clipping out as Dryad.
We've seen the Dryad clip plenty of times.
Yeah, but this is sort of a different Dryad clip. We're going to clip through the floor, actually.
Oh, wow.
We're going to clip through the floor as Dryad, land in some water, and then we're going to swim left for about 4 strokes, and then we're going to jump out, transform into Harpy, and we're completely out of bounds. I cannot see what's going on.
Right.
And then
So
basically
we're using the sound and we're using the time. So I'm gonna let you do it because I know you're really good.
Yeah, so I'll explain more about what's going on after I'm done with the skip.
So turn into the Dryad. Listen for the swimming. You surface, turn into the Harpy, and we're off to the races. So he's counting seconds in his head while we're flying above the edge, top of the screen. So the screen scrolls. Now we're above the screen and to the right, and we're trying to touch I'm not going to say a really small loading zone, but it's not giant either. For not being able to see where you're going, it is quite small. So he's waiting the perfect amount of time to fall back down underneath the screen and then rise back up into the loading zone right now.
Give it a second. If we got it. I'll know if I got it if the HUD disappears.
I can hear you.
There we go.
around.
Okay,
All right,
sweet.
awesome.
We got it. Oh, whew.
I thought you missed it, man.
Oh, that is. It is a really scary glitch. If I fail that, then I lose about a minute. So that is.
You need a stopwatch anymore?
No, I don't need a stopwatch anymore. We're all
Okay.
good.
Shout out to one of my friends who just texted me. They wanted to get on the stream. I'll give you your wish.
So now we're in our last area, Risky's Lair.
So huge auto scroller we just skipped,
Yep.
which is awesome. We're into kind of like it's kind of like the end of Shantae GBC. You have all the Tinkerbats. They got all their souped up new equipment. And we're trying to get through this section with a lot of spikes.
Yeah. All those spikes will send me back to the very start of the area,
Right.
so I really want to avoid those.
They're
Also,
not an instant death like they are in GBC, but getting sent back to the start might as well be the same thing.
yeah. And also, falling in the lava does the exact same thing, so I want to try to avoid that as well. It might look a little hairy with me
So
making
we're
close
going
calls with these spikes, but
Very
trust me.
slippery. Now, fortunately, we can fly above the screen for some of these.
Yeah, well, not in this area. That'll be in the next
The
area.
next area? Okay.
Yeah.
So these ones, they have, the wall extends up above the screen, but not all of them do that.
I'm not really too concerned about my health here. We're going to get a full heal right before the final boss.
Right.
So.
And we just bought 6 potions, so
Yeah.
we got plenty of snacks.
Yeah,
Yeah, imagine flying through this with the Harpy. That would be really scary.
it would be, but fortunately, we are basically all the way through this area. We just got one more guy right here. We're going to transform back into Monkey, and that should take us through the first half of Risky's Lair. We don't got too much more to go. But this next section is very Harpy focused. There's a lot of spike platforms that are going to be, or I guess spike crushers that are sort of going up and down. And again, if we run into them, it's going to send us back to the very start of the area. But fortunately,
right,
we can fly over a lot of them.
Luckily, we can go over. So unfortunately, the ones that crush in and out, they will extend above the screen and will kill you.
Yes. So
again, sink down a little bit.
Harpy has dropped inputs here, so I'm going to be trying to play it a little safe whenever it comes to a drop, because that's where dropped inputs happen. I keep transforming into crab for some reason.
Well, you know, we didn't use the spider ever. You don't use the crab hardly ever either.
Nope.
Feel bad for him.
That's okay.
So yeah, we got to show crab Shantae some love.
Gonna wait for this crusher cycle. I'm just gonna be a little patient here, play it safe, because I don't want to run into these spikes and die. And we got one more little crusher section right here. If I drop my input here, there's a very good chance I'll fall into the spikes, but fortunately we got pretty lucky, and now we are done with the section. So no more worrying about dropped Harpy inputs. We are all good.
We're in.
We are in. But now we're on to the final boss.
Okay, so final boss has 3 phases. First, we're gonna fight Risky Boots herself, and she is incredibly healthy, probably more so than Squid Baron was.
She takes a good couple minutes to kill.
Right, and so the problem is I'm going to say this is the first time in the run where we're actually worried about running out of magic.
Yes.
Because it just takes so long to kill. So she has a very predictable pattern. She's going to do some pistol attacks. She does this dash attack. That dash attack will kill you.
It does about 2 hearts of damage, so I definitely don't want to get hit by those.
You know, she does some jumps, and then she does some cannonball attacks next, I think.
No, she's going to jump up and do a triple pistol attack. She's going to jump around twice more, and then she's going to do another triple pistol attack, but this time on the ground, so I'm just going to jump all over that. Now she's going to jump twice, and then on the second jump, she's going to do her cannonball attack.
That's when the cannonball is. So yeah, these are the items from Pirate's Curse. They're back. And then she has this anchor phase, and the anchor phase is really nice because she will spawn some Tinkerbats, and the Tinkerbats can drop magic. So we're really looking for a magic drop right now. If you accidentally take a hit, there's
one. Nice.
If you accidentally take some hits, they can drop health too, so that'll be nice. But you know, Jake's really good, so he doesn't take damage.
I definitely take damage. Getting hit by those cannonballs that Risky shoots out during that phase, you will take 2 hearts of damage again. So like, the bosses do so much damage.
If we didn't pick up those extra heart containers, well, they're not. This isn't Zelda. Heart holders. You know, that could one-shot you if you were on the default amount of health. So quite scary.
I'm also min-maxing my magic use a little bit, even though I got an extra magic
We got, what, 1 drop or 2?
1 drop, so.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty close.
Should be fine enough. We're nearing the end of this fight. It takes about a full boss cycle and a half to kill her if you do it optimally. So there we go. That's pretty close.
You can see how much magic we have left.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have 2 more phases. So Risky has been building
the dynamo.
Right.
Well, no, Mimic built the dynamo, and Risky took it after Mimic was done building it. So now we've got Tinkerbrain, which is the dynamo of destruction.
Right. So this is our final boss. He's got 2 phases. Unfortunately, the first phase, auto-scroller just like Wilbur was.
Yep. Not very hard.
So we have to run to the side and get him to unscrew those bolts on his head because he has to turn to face you, and then these little capacitors, they come out.
Capacitors, something like that. You just got to smack them a few times.
Unfortunately, there's not enough time to get them all, but with the scimitar, that means we can move while we're hitting them. So we can get 2 cycles. And then he uses some attacks, like he does a laser attack, he throws some gears at you. But, I mean, they're so telegraphed, and Shantae in monkey form is so small, it's very easy to avoid.
Yep.
So we just have to repeat that on the other side of his head, and we're in business. So the scary part is phase 2. He's going to summon some evil genies, and all of them have a shield except for one of them. So we need to find the one with no shield, defeat the genie, and that is going to weaken the shield. He's going to have a shield around him as well. It spawns a little projectile. We need to hit the projectile through the shield, and it's timing based. The shield will rotate around him, and the timing is quite strict.
It is strict, but there's a little visual cue that I'm going to use.
So if you miss the timing, it'll slow down eventually. But obviously, you know, we're here in the speed run. We want to get it on the first cycle. So it's quite difficult to get it on the first cycle. And we do have a visual cue. And To make matters worse, the genies will be summoning like a dark wave, and the dark wave will kill Jake in 2 hits. So every time you take a hit from the wave, you can see how fast it moves. And if the genie on the back of the screen decides to do the attack, it's difficult to see coming. So you're pretty much forced to drink a potion anytime you get hit with it. And there are some audio cues to hear it coming. So I might go a little mute on the comms here, but really what we're looking for is the genie with no shield, which luckily it takes them some time to form the shield. So once you find the first one, you just keep hitting them over and over again. We're gonna watch out for that shadow wave, and then we're gonna get the timing really close on that rotating shield. So, all right, Jake, this is all you know. A little bit early on that one, so it does slow down when you mess it up.
Oof. That's okay.
So eventually it stops. So if your timing is really bad, they'll throw you a bone eventually. Very nice.
So the little visual cue I'm using to dodge this attack is when he does a little nose wiggle, kind of like that. Every time he does that, I can hit it right into his shield.
And the whole time you're focused on this timing, you have to be listening for when that shadow wave comes around, because you're not going to be able to react to it. It's too fast. And just like every other boss, ton of health.
That should be it. Okay,
Awesome.
sweet. Woo.
Very nice, Jake.
That boss is very scary. The first part didn't go so well, but now the rest of it after I got into the groove was not too bad.
All right, so with Risky Boots defeated one more time.
We get our zombie hamster back,
Right.
of course. We can't leave Risky's Island without him.
Who's donating to save the animals? Anyone out there? So we just save the animals.
We just say. But now we've got one more auto scroller to go. If you weren't tired of him now, you're gonna be tired of him after this. But fortunately, we can't really take any damage here. What is scary about this is that if I fall off, it takes you back all the way to the very start of the auto scroller. We do have a fireball that we can use to sort of stall Shantae midair in case I feel like I'm gonna fall down. But other than that, there's not really much of a threat going on here. I just have to be careful about not falling into the gaps.
Yeah, we can run into as many gears as we want.
Yeah.
Which is still 0, but you know sometimes.
I ran into one. I tried to dodge them anyways.
Right. Well, you were just demonstrating for the crowd then.
Of course. Yeah. I was just showing them. Yeah. The lava will approach us a lot. You can see it's cutting off quite a bit of the auto scroller path that we've got here. But
so this is where having the fireball is really nice, because you misjudge a jump like that with a really small platform, you can kind of save yourself. You have a little half second of delay to save yourself.
Exactly. So we've got one more big gap to cross. Time is coming up. It'll happen right when the screen completely fades to white. I'll call it, of course. Coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up real soon. Jake, I'm so sad, man.
Time.
Dude, our Shantae block is over, man.
It's over?
That's so sad. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yes.
We've been having a great time. I almost wish I knew how to play more Shantae games. We keep going, but
No. We gotta call off the Shantae block at some point, and I guess now's
all good things must.
Now's the perfect time, of course. But yeah, that was Shantae Half-Genie Hero. I really hope you all enjoyed. And that was also the Shantae block. Thank you, Purple, for co-commentating with me.
I had a ton of fun.
And also running the original Shantae as well to make this Shantae
maybe
block
next
complete.
time it'll go a little smoother.
Maybe, but I mean, either way, it was still a really good time.
Right.
If you want to check us out, my Twitch is right on screen, JakeTheSnake233. And what's your Twitch?
It's just Twitch TV, Purple Tissue Box.
Purple Tissue Box. If you're interested in learning more about Shantae speedrunning, we have the Way Forward speedrunning Discord. You can find it on any of the speedrun.com leaderboards for any of the Shantae games. It's linked right there. So you can join that if you're interested in learning more. We're not a huge community. We're a fairly small community, but we're pretty passionate, I feel like.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice and
we're here talking about this game for 4 hours, so
yeah.
that's gotta mean something.
It's gotta mean something. So yeah. That's about it. So thank you so much again.
Yeah. It's been awesome, guys.
Yep.